බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
Making headlines first at 9. Port deal beckons. Sri Lanka to ink Hambantota port deal tomorrow without parliamentary debate.
Security is in our hands. The land is in our hands.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Also making headlines tonight, rumble in Parliament. Sparks fly in-house over the vote on Essential Public Services Act resolution. The plot thickens at the Bond Commission, a company where Minister Ravi Karunanayake was a director, alleged to have laundered money. Another bad day in sports. Sri Lanka bowled out for 291 and India stretched lead to 498 in the first test. And in international headlines, walk of shame. Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif forced to resign with Supreme Court ruling him unfit for office. Good evening, Mahesh Johnny for Other Derana 24/7. Tonight we begin our broadcast with the news that the revised deal between Sri Lanka and China for the Hambantota port will finally be inked tomorrow. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed today that the Hambantota port agreement will be signed tomorrow. Now, he made this revelation by making a statement to the media today. This agreement was to be debated in Parliament today, but could not do so as a tense situation that arose during the debate on Essential Public Services Act forced the Speaker to adjourn the House. This week, with Cabinet approval for concession agreement with China Merchant Ports Holding Company Limited, it was announced that the ownership of shares of the entire investment will be amended as 69.55% to China Merchant Ports Company and 30.45% to Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
Addressing media at the central bank this morning, the Premier said the deal will help increase investment and significantly slash Sri Lanka's existing debt component. He said the government aims to reduce the country's fiscal deficit to 3.5% by the year 2020.
There is a new company, a joint venture company, China Merchants and SLPA, but that's only for commercial, navigational, shipping operations. Security is in our hands. The land is in our hands. But the 1.1 billion we receive this year and next year will reduce our debt. The money that we can hold on to. And there's another 300 million additional investment that will be made. And there will be enough investments to make it into another world-class port. Compare this to the 46.7 billion that we have spent from 2011 on the port of Hambantota. The other one which has also been a white elephant is Mattala. By end of the year, we will have an agreement on Mattala. But I have to say, we have some bad news. We can't find any takers for the Suryavava Cricket Stadium. So all of us will have to pay from our taxes and VAT for the Suryavava Cricket Stadium.
Prime Minister, you said that Hambantota port deal will sign tomorrow, but it was scheduled to put for debate in Parliament today. It was not taken up. Any reason?
No, it was taken up. It was an adjournment motion. At the adjournment time, the opposition was disrupting. The Speaker asked them to go and sit. They didn't go and sit. So finally, the adjournment took place. Let us face the facts. How can they go and oppose the Hambantota deal? How can they oppose it? Who signed it? We are giving the country a better deal without debt, without any implications of security.
The Hambantota port was built from a $1.5 billion loan, but the value of the port is 1.4.
That is the 1.5 billion question.
Speaking further, Premier Wickremesinghe said the country will focus on energy security after the latest petroleum workers' strike crippling oil supply.
We did have for a few days, even on the LIOC stocks. We will be building up more. The Cabinet will be looking at an energy security plan for this type of event.
As I mentioned before, the Speaker of Parliament had to adjourn proceedings until the 4th of August following restrained behaviour by joint opposition parliamentarians today. The tense situation occurred when voting commenced on a resolution under the Essential Public Services Act declaring supply or distribution of fuel, including petroleum products, gas and oil services, be approved as essential. Releasing a statement, the Office of the Speaker of Parliament confirmed the provision related to the Essential Public Services Act was properly passed despite disruptions.
proclaimed by President Maithripala Sirisena in the form of an order under Section 2 of the Essential Public Services Act number 61 of 1979, the resolution declaring supply or distribution of fuel, including petroleum products, gas and oil services as essential was taken up for debate for a second day today.
මම නිශ්චිත ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් ඇහුවා ඊයේ මම බලාගෙන හිටිය අද උත්තර දෙයි. අපි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවා මේ පහර දීපු මර කණ්ඩායම වලට ගන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ග මොකද්ද? ඒක කියන්නේ නැතුව මේක සම්මත කරගන්න තරම් උත්සාහය වැරදි. එතුමාගේ උත්තර දුන්නා. දැන් මොකද අපි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ? මේ පිළිබඳව එක්ක අගමැතිවරයා හරි පොලිස් ඇමතිවරයා හරි උත්තරයක් දෙන්න ඕන.
විමර්ශන අවසන් වුණ පසු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පිළිතුරු දෙන්න.
වැලිකඩ OIC පළාත් සභා මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකුට බිත්තියට හේතු කළ පහර දුන්නා. දැන් ඒ OIC තියාගෙන පරීක්ෂණ කරන්නේ කොහොමද? මොකද ඔයාද නියෝග දෙන්නේ? මේක අද සභාවේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්නේ. නෑ සභාවේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න ඕන තමයි. හැබැයි කරු කතා කරන මර කණ්ඩායම දාලා පහර එල්ල කරලා තිබෙනවා නේ. නේ මේකට තමයි අසල ආණ්ඩුව ඇදුවේ.
දරුවා පෙන්නුවා වගේ බඩ මිනිස්සු නම් කියන්නේ
කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා.
මේ මහජනාරක්ෂක පනත යටතේ පිරිසක් අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තා. ගහන්න ආපු මිනිස්සු කවුරුවත් අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්තේ නෑ. පොලිසිය ඇමතිතුමා අද
අගමැතිතුමා
Yeah, move item 1 there. We can't be having points of order now.
දැන් එනවා අපි ඡන්ද ගණීම ආරම්භ වෙනවා.
දැන් ඡන්දේ ගන්න වෙලාව දැන් ආපහු මේ තාවර නීති කඩන්න බෑ. මේ අලුත් සම්ප්‍රදායක් ඇති කරලා අපි ඒකට විරුද්ධයි.
කරුණාකරලා වාඩි වෙලා මේ ඡන්දේ ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න. දෙනායි දෙය අනිකයි. ඉතින් ඔබතුමා මෙතන මේකෙන් කිසි ප්‍රයෝජනයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. තමුන්නාන්සේට ප්‍රයෝජනයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ජනතාවට ප්‍රයෝජනයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
ආම ඡන්දය ගැනීමට කැඳවල නැහැ.
කැඳෙව්වා.
නෑ.
අර වෝටින් ඉන් ප්‍රෝසෙස්
බෙල් එක ගහුවා කියලා ඡන්දකට ආයුතු නෑ. ඡන්දය පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ තමයි ඔබතුමාට යමක් කරන්න බැරිකම තියෙන්නේ. නෑ. it's clear.
ඕඩර් දීලා තියෙනවා.
නෑ ස්ටෑන්ඩින් ඕඩර්ස් clear. ඒ නිසා ආණ්ඩුවට උත්තර දෙන්න කියන්නේ.
එතුමා පිළිතුරු දෙනවාගේ යථාකාරයේදී. අද එතුමා පිළිතුරු දෙන්න බෑ.
The Speaker allowed voting to be held as per request by parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena, representing the joint opposition. However, during the debate, members of the joint opposition complained that they needed more time to highlight their views on the matter. Despite objections, the Speaker ordered voting on the resolution to commence. However, a group of parliamentarians gathered in the middle of the House, obstructing proceedings. They then tried to take the mace outside of the House, which the mace bearers had to protect. The Speaker passed the resolution after a verbal note, then took action to adjourn the Parliament until the 4th of August. Other Derana's Parliament reporter said that after the adjournment, members of the joint opposition seated MP Priyanka Rajaratne on the Speaker's chair. They had also made MP Prasanna Ranavira make a speech from the President's chair.
Meanwhile, the joint opposition and the Janata Vimukti Peramuna said the gazette to make storage and distribution of petroleum an essential service was not passed in the parliament. The deputy speaker and the speaker's office, however, said that the gazette was passed appropriately.
Some of the parliamentarians went to the table of the Secretary of the Parliament and requested to ask the Speaker to adjourn Parliament for 5 minutes, saying we could come to a solution through discussions. Speaker rejected it and started to call for a vote. In the meantime, since the protest was going on, the mace bearers left with the mace. Despite the Speaker's claims of public security ordinance being passed, it is not. The debate on the Hambantota Port Agreement was due today. However, the Speaker left adjourning the House. It was adjourned at a time when the mace was unavailable. This is sold for 99 years. This is a crime. There is nothing to be amended. They know this agreement is okay. That is why they made chaos in Parliament today. There are two reasons why the Gazette was not passed. The mace was not where it was supposed to be. The Speaker should announce the results after the vote. It did not happen today. It was announced as passed with a majority vote. Therefore, it is legal.
Staying on the subject, the president of the Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangamaya says selling off the Hambantota port is not an issue since it has become a burden to the Ports Authority. The All Ceylon Ports General Employees Union, however, states they will engage in a trade union action if the government violates the promises made to the representatives of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation.
We are against selling national assets to the private sector. The salary increments of the employees of the Ports Authority cannot be increased due to the debt incurred by the Hambantota port. We will have to go for a productive agreement regarding the Hambantota port in order to save the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. As a responsible trade union, we will have to take a decision whether we are going to save it or be adamant in keeping the Hambantota port in accordance with narrow political agendas. We cannot object to the sale of the port to either China, Japan or to America, since maintenance of the Hambantota port has become difficult for the Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
Members of the Postal Workers Front organized a demonstration in front of the Central Mail Exchange today in protest of the recent attack on the CPC employees. Meanwhile, many other trade unions expressed their displeasure on the recent attack on the CPC employees.
The government cannot control these strikes by using the army the way they did. Is the government challenging us to rally hundreds and thousands of workers? During the ports issue back in 2007, the ILO said that services which only address risk to life can be classified as essential services. Why is the police silent over the attack? Is this good governance?
The entire working class is ready to answer this issue together with the CPC employees.
Following discussions with the President on the amendments in the agreement, the ports employees called off the strike. Going ahead with the strike would have been in violation of trade union ethics. If the Prime Minister is saying that the agreement will be signed tomorrow, then it goes against the promise given by the President.
Let's move on to other local stories now. With the spread of dengue across Sri Lanka of growing concern, a 3-day cleaning campaign kicked off in schools across the island today. Students and teachers were seen geared up to clean the vicinity of their respective schools with the aim of combating the spread of dengue.
The inauguration ceremony for the clean-up campaign was held at Nalanda College and Sri Sangamitta Balika Vidyalaya in Colombo this morning. The event was held under the auspices of Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyawasam.
By conducting this initiative, we were able to identify certain drainage systems which have become dengue breeding grounds due to the manner in which they are sealed off. I believe that it is important to carry out these initiatives in the coming days as well as in the future.
Schools in other areas were also seen taking part in this initiative.
A group of residents who are affected by the Uma Oya multipurpose development project took to the streets in protest today at the Dikarawa and Aludgama junctions along the Colombo-Badula road, disrupting traffic for over 6 hours. Residents also protested at the Dikarawa junction last night following the evacuation of 40 families in the area.
40 families from Dikarawa in Bandarawala were evacuated from their homes yesterday due to a risk of a landslide on the Udugalpatana mountain as a result of heavy rains. Residents staged a protest at 9 p.m. yesterday, blocking the Dikarawa junction along the Colombo-Badula road, charging that the risk of landslide is brought on by the Uma Oya multi-purpose project. Divisional Secretary of ELLA, Tanukshi N. Abewardana, and convener of the People's Liberation Front, Samantha Vidyaratna, visited the location to inquire into the situation. The 40 families were temporarily housed at the National Youth Corps Training Centre at Bindunuwava in Bandarawala last night. Residents protested again this afternoon, demanding a permanent solution. UMP MP Chaminda Vijayasiri met with the protesters, but failure in discussions prompted the Divisional Secretary of ELLA and officers from the Disaster Management Centre to inspect the location. Our correspondent reports that the Divisional Secretary of ELLA and officials from the DMC also took measures to inspect the houses of those affected. Meanwhile, residents of Aludgama in Bandarawala also staged a protest at the Aludgama junction on the same route at 9:30 a.m. today, charging that homes of 150 families in Aludgama are affected by the Uma Oya project. UMP MP Chaminda Vijayasiri met with protesters at the Aludgama junction today, but was not able to reach an immediate solution. The protests came to a halt shortly after noon when residents were given an opportunity to speak with relevant officials by telephone.
A prominent figure in Sri Lanka's political sphere, former General Secretary of the UNP, Senarath Kapokutua, passed away in Colombo last night. And with this story and others making news, it's time to take a look at across Sri Lanka.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe met with the Chief Minister of Eastern Province, Hafiz Nazir Ahmed, in Erawur today. The Chief Minister questioned the PM on the date of local government elections and whether the elections for the Eastern, North Central and Sabaragamu provinces can be held on the same day. The Prime Minister replied that if elections are to be held on the same day, the tenure of the provincial councils will have to be extended until 2019, or the provincial councils will have to be dissolved with the agreement of all chief ministers. Former General Secretary of the UNP, Senarath Kapukotua, passed away last night at the age of 62. A past pupil of Royal College, he was General Secretary of the UNP between 2001 and 2004, but distanced himself from politics after the defeat of the UNP in 2004. The final rites of late Senarath Kapukotua will take place on Monday at 4 p.m. The Republic of Korea provided a humanitarian assistance package to Sri Lanka for drought relief today. Minister of Disaster Management Anru Priyadarshana and Korean Ambassador Won Sam Chang were also present during the occasion. A Korean parliamentary delegation handed over the relief material, including 8 lorry-mounted water bowsers, to President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence in Colombo. An advanced offshore patrol vessel, the newest addition to the Sri Lanka Navy, arrived in the island this morning, completing a near $67 million procurement. The vessel was built by Goa Shipyard Limited in India and is Sri Lanka's first ever brand new offshore patrol vessel. A 54-year-old man was detained by customs officials at the Bandaranaike International Airport today, attempting to smuggle out a stash of foreign currency. The stash added up to approximately 14 million rupees and was concealed in the suspect's rectum. The man was later released after being slapped with a 300,000 rupee fine.
Welcome back, everyone. Chief Financial Officer of Global Transportation Logistics Private Limited, Brian Sinaya, admitted that his company could have engaged in possible money laundering while paying off loan installments for the luxury apartment Minister Ravi Karnanayake and his family currently lives in. Sinaya made this admission before the Commission of Inquiry probing the central bank bond issuance today, appearing as the sole witness for the day.
On Monday, a female witness revealed before the Commission of Inquiry as to how former Director of Perpetual Treasuries Arjun Aloysius paid rental expenses for 6 months for the luxury apartment Minister Ravi Karnanayake and his family occupy. Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda drew the Commission's attention on matters pertaining to the particular apartment today as well. As a result, Kodagoda, who represents the Attorney General's office, called the Chief Financial Officer of Global Transportation and Logistics Private Limited, Brian Sinaya, before the Commission. Ravi Karnanayake was the Director of Global Transportation and Logistics Private Limited before being appointed Finance Minister in 2015. Sinaya said once the minister resigned from the company upon assuming office as Finance Minister 2 years ago, he began reporting to the minister's daughter, Onela Karnanayake, a director of the company. Sinaya also said that Minister Karnanaike's wife, Mela Karnanayake, also acts as a director, while London-based businessman TV Lakshmikanthan acts as the chairman of the company. Sinaya revealed before the Commission that the directors wanted to purchase the luxury apartment in question, valued at 165 million rupees, for the company, for which they needed a loan of 150 million rupees from Ceylon Bank. During the line of questioning that followed, it was revealed that Global Transportation Logistics Private Limited paid off its loan installments with personal funds of its chairman Lakshmikanthan, kept in a medium-sized safe installed within the company. Sinaya went on to say that he did not know how these bundles of cash deposited in 2016 came about, and that he did not keep any logs of the chairman's transactions at any time. When asked by the Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda whether it would amount to criminal conduct of money laundering, the response from Sinaya was that it could be considered as possible money laundering. Chief Financial Officer of Global Transportation Logistics Private Limited also revealed that the chairman had brought in another bulk of cash in February this year, amounting to 75 million rupees. Meanwhile, the Commission of Inquiry issued an order to former Director of Perpetual Treasuries Arjun Aloysius, asking him to reveal the username and password to his Apple account. Aloysius had refused to reveal the particular details pertaining to his Apple iPhone, as requested by the Commission earlier. The mobile phone had allegedly fallen into a pool in Singapore and ceased to function.
On to business news now. Colombo equities closed the week on a flat note despite continuous foreign inflows, with the all-share price index shedding 2 points to 6,666 and the S&P SL 20 index closing at 3,822, down 7 points. Market turnover was at 626 million rupees, with the top contributors to the turnover coming from TJ Lanka at 165 million rupees and Tokyo Cement at 164 million rupees, while First Capital Holdings, Dunamis Capital and Birwala Resorts were retail investor favourites in today's session. Foreign investors were net buyers of 403 million rupees today, with top net inflows seen in Tokyo Cement, TJ Lanka and Commercial Bank. And with a wrap of the week's trading, here's Shanmugan Ramakrishan from the NDB Securities with the weekly review.
During the week, ASPI edged down 0.05%, S&P SL 20 gained 0.1% for the week. The average daily turnover was down from last week to 518 million rupees. Furthermore, foreigners actively contributed to the total turnover. The net foreign inflows, which was seen since the end of 2017 January, was continued during this week as well. This resulted in a total year-to-date net foreign inflow of 24.9 billion rupees. Which is the highest level of year-to-date foreign inflow since 2012.
Welcome back, everyone. Not good news for cricket fans. In the third day of the first test between Sri Lanka and India in Galle, the visitors built up a 498-run lead after declining to enforce the follow-on. India were able to bowl Sri Lanka out shortly after lunch for 291, securing a 300-run first innings lead, then went to stumps at 189 for 3.
Angelo Matthews built on his overnight score of 54 but fell for 83, becoming Ravindra Jadeja's first of 3 wickets today. Rangana Herath also lost his wicket to Jadeja, while Hardik Pandya claimed his first test wicket in Nuwan Pradeep. Dilruwan Pereira, proactive at the other end, eventually ran out of partners to be stranded on 92 not out with Sri Lanka 309 runs in arrears. India decided not to enforce the follow-on, and despite losing first innings centurions Shikhar Dhawan and Cheteshwar Pujara, were able to build comfortably on their lead. Skipper Virat Kohli is not out on 76, with India 498 runs ahead at stumps, Abhinav Mukund falling for 81 on the last ball of the day.
Pad first, yes.
And in tennis, Philipp Kohlschreiber is through to the quarterfinals of the German Open in Hamburg after beating 2011 champions and 4th seed Gilles Simon. Former finalist Federico Del Bonis is also through to the last 8 with his victory over David Ferreira in the straight sets.
Philipp Kohlschreiber saved 10 of his 13 break points against former champion Gilles Simon in a match that lasted over 2 hours. Kohlschreiber's 6-3, 3-6, 6-2 win sees him take on Argentina's Nicolas Kicker in the quarter-finals. Another Argentine, Federico Del Bonis, found himself 1-5 down in the first set against David Ferreira, but saved 2 set points and fought back. After winning the first set, he overpowered David Ferreira in the second to win 7-5, 6-3.
On to international news now. In a seismic political event in South Asia, Prime Minister of Pakistan Nawaz Sharif resigned today following a decision by the country's Supreme Court to disqualify him from office. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously that Sharif was not fit to hold office after an investigative panel alleged his family could not account for its vast wealth with the 2015 Panama paper leak linking Sharif's children to offshore companies.
The 2015 Panama Papers leak revealed that Pakistani Premier Nawaz Sharif's family had bought affluent apartments in London through offshore companies. Although the Supreme Court ruled in April that there was insufficient evidence to remove Sharif from office, it ordered a probe by an investigative panel. Releasing a report, the panel stated that Sharif's family assets do not match their earnings and accused his children of signing forged documents to obscure ownership of the London flats. The Supreme Court also ordered a criminal investigation against Sharif and his family. Sharif, however, denies wrongdoing and has dismissed the investigation into him as biased and inaccurate.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. We'll kick off the weekend with temperatures ranging between 21 and 36 degrees Celsius in major cities. Fairly strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in the southern region of the island, with a low pressure zone in the eastern and central region of the island. Now, this may lead to heavy showers in Batticaloa, Trincomalee and Anuradhapura. Slight drizzles may be expected in Colombo, Galle and Mathura. It's time to take a quick look at the city-by-city forecast.
Well, today is Friday. With another hectic working week coming to an end, it's time to move on to a heartwarming story. This story comes to us from the US. It is about a display of true friendship. When Paul Burnett first met Camden Housham in kindergarten, the two 8-year-old boys quickly became friends. Camden was born with a spinal tumor, which has left him paraplegic, having to rely on a wheelchair. Camden's family had to shelve plans for a new wheelchair as they couldn't afford one. But they didn't realize that Paul noticed all the problems that Camden experienced with his wheelchair. Together with his mother, little Paul kick-started a fundraising campaign that raised over $5,000, covering the cost of a customized wheelchair. Paul says he wanted to help Camden simply because Camden is a good friend, proving indeed that a friend in need is a friend indeed. And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. We'll return first at 9 tomorrow within the Variya Muatta. Be sure to join us then. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.